and also try to help out the business and learn how to surf and get introduced to a tight-knit Rockaway community where people, are in the water every day, and you start to get to know the community. So that's my long story. That's why I'm here.
So we've got like a reverse Rick Kane thing going on here in some ways. Paul, are you like Chandler then? Or are you making him start on an Olo with finless and then like working his way, and he's like, when do I get to ride Burkhardt's board,
Paul's very fun to watch in the shop. He's so meticulous and detail-oriented, and so what I've been trying to get out of it is just watching him, and he's a great teacher as well. So I'm starting from the beginning in the most basic, that is the understanding the history and the boards and doing repairs, and from there slowly trying to take some of it off his plate so we can start to grow a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah.
And surfing.
Good job.
Surfing.
Yeah.
I surf.
Chase surfs the most.
Well, he's got a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah.
Unlike me, when there's good waves, he can surf.
You got
I
a
have to sit on
photo.
the beach and
You got to work. We want to switch gears here. We're going to get very deep in the moment. Ben, I'm going to let you lead on this.
Okay. I guess as a setup, Paul, where did you fall in love with surfing? You're not originally from Rockaway.
Yeah, I'm not. I am.
None of us are, but
yeah. I'm originally from Richmond, Virginia, and so also landlocked, and surfing wasn't at all on my radar, or as much as I guess anyone's, like Chase's. Just seeing pictures or surf magazines in middle school and beautiful girls in bikinis and just thinking, oh, I want to live that life. What is that? That
Right.
makes no sense to me, but it looks damn good. And yeah, so grew up like boogie boarding beach break in Virginia Beach, and then I got I guess my first surfboard when I was 13 for Christmas, and it was some super retro, crazy thick glass on
It was a
thruster.
Go board, right?
What's that?
Wasn't it a Go board?
Yeah, how do you know that?
I read articles. I study up. I study my subjects.
Wow,
here.
good job.
Well, those were the basically natural art. It was shaped by their second-rate shapers or their up-and-coming shapers, and so it was a bit more discounted, that whole Go brand.
Yeah, I can see how it was discounted. Yeah, it was, I think it was falling apart. But I loved it, and yeah, so surfing. I don't know. It was just something in the background. Then I went to undergrad really close to Virginia Beach. Well, really close. It was like 45-minute drive, but. My father passed away when I was 19, so I guess that was the start of my sophomore year of undergrad, and that was just the escape for me. Mm-hmm. So I just needed to get away and clear my head and to be in nature and to be alone and to watch the sunrise, sunset. So yeah, I got totally obsessed at that point in my life. For obvious, like, multiple reasons, but I would drive out every morning before and after class. So I was in the water probably 4 hours a day for the remaining 3 years of college. And yeah, that was kind of the thing that saved my head, at least the surf. And then also wound up exposing me to this community of misfits and oddballs that I really felt like I could understand better than the people who were studying in the library back at school. So yeah, I was hanging out in the parking lot talking to people about boards and wanting to surf as much as I could. So and then just started dreaming about making my own boards. I mean, pretty much immediately. Right when I was 19, 20, I started making my first boards out of wood because my background was in carpentry and construction. So that's kind of where it all started. It was Virginia Beach and the Outer Banks.
And then you came up here for school?
Yeah, I
for
moved
masters,
to moved to New York for grad school. Yeah, for a master's in poetry at Brooklyn College.
Get the fuck out!
Did you know
poetry?
Did you know that? Yeah,
Didn't know that.
Yeah,
You didn't say that in any of your interviews. I just read that you were glass blowing for chandeliers and other stuff.
Yeah, I did that too. Random,
but poetry. Do you still write?
I do still write. Not as much as, as I'd like to maybe, but because I'm always in the shop. But I love it still. I really love it. I got an MFA in poetry, and what am I ever gonna do with that? I don't know. But I love the experience.
You write Instagram captions.
I do. Oh yeah. That's the extent of my writing now. Instagram captions. I hope you all love them.
You could have done poetry slams and all that,
True. Yeah, I could do it. Yeah.
Could have done, something a little like.
I'm not a slammer.
Open mic?
No. Yeah, I have. Yeah, in college.
Could have been like Mike Myers and So I Married an Axe Murderer, like
woman. That was that 90s
man.
thing. Yeah. There was such a 90s thing.
You took my heart. Bro.
Slam. Well, Tyler and I were struck by the laugh track that keeps popping up. A funny
I'm having
segue.
way too much fun with it.
That you're a practicing Quaker. Which is unusual, at least in our sphere. There's a lot of Quakers, certainly around Philly, and is that something that goes back to growing up in Virginia? Like, talk about that practice.
Yeah.
Can you expand on first what is Quakerism for the uninitiated and then how you found it? Because Thomas, you grew up a Quaker, or you've been practicing for a while?
I grew up with my family going to a Quaker meeting. Yeah.
So I want to know, just tell us a little bit about that first, and then kind of want to explore that a little.
Well, finding myself at meeting was also totally random. My professor in grad school, she thought that what I was writing at the time were a series of small prayers. And so she told me as my assignment for the week, we did a tutorial, like a one-on-one with your professor for an hour a week. And when I was sitting in that tutorial, she told me that my assignment for the week was to go to a Quaker meeting. And she gave me the address, and she told me not to Google anything about it before I went. So I showed up at the meeting house just thinking that it was going to be like church, right? Because it kind of looked like a church. I walk in, I sit down, there are pews and these big white walls and big windows, but all the pews are facing one another. So it's like a big square room, and all the pews are facing one another. No stage or didn't look like anybody was going to give
no altar
a talk,
or anything.
Or anything like this. So I sit down and looking around. Okay, it's like a lot of old people and no one's talking.
And no one looks they don't look like the guy from the Quaker, box and everything, that everyone has a stigma.
Yeah,
no one's wearing the black hat, big white hair.
Yeah, nobody would. Yeah, people often confuse it with Amish, right?
Yeah,
do you get
totally.
Yeah. A lot of people are like, oh, so you don't believe in electricity? I don't believe in it at all. I don't know how the lights are working right now.
This sander, no electricity right here.
Yeah, that's a miracle. So I was sitting down in this room and just looking around, waiting for something to happen. Nothing happens for maybe 30 minutes. So I figured, I guess it's just meditation. So I kind of settled into it, and then someone stood up, and my eyes were closed, so I wasn't expecting anything. It was just dead silent, really beautiful, just calm. And then somebody stood up and said, "The piano is in need of dusting," and then sat down, and it scared the shit out of me. I was like, what was that? And then I looked around, who said that? And then I look over at the piano in the corner, and it was really dusty. Yeah, and I instantly, just like the surf community, I instantly was like, these are my people, because they're odd and quiet and kind of introspective and not quite going with the flow, and that's what's always made sense to me. So
sorry, just chime in just to make it clear.
What that was.
Yeah, it's common for people to stand up and say things maybe not that the piano is dusty, but like
the very evident, self-evident things there.
Right. Like the thinking is like if anybody has something to say that they want to share, it can. Sometimes in meetings I've heard like songs or like one word and sit down.
I've seen an old man just get up and dance in the middle of the room for like 30 seconds and then sit down. So the idea behind it is that everyone has the light in them, right? Like everybody has access to the divine, and to presume that one person should be telling everyone what their path should be toward enlightenment or the light is inaccurate. And so that's always kind of made sense to me. So I think, like growing up going to regular Christian kind of church, it always bothered me having to sit there and kind of be like force fed what somebody told me was capital T truth. And so in this environment, I felt like everybody's it's kind of egalitarian, and we get to respect one another's silence in our own path, right? And that's what works.
Isn't
for
there
me.
also like atheists or agnostic Quakers as well? I think I was reading like that they don't necessarily believe in spiritual, but they believe in the light themselves as well.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
It sounds very like open in many ways, almost not judgmental, no real strict hierarchy or anything along those lines.
Oh yeah, I think a lot of people, you'll have tea after and just kind of chat with people, and I oftentimes hear people say that they don't believe in God, they don't know what they believe in, they're Buddhist, they're Christian, it's everybody's welcome, and I think that's what's really special about it, is that you can sit side by side with people who might believe something totally different than you, and in actively contributing your silence, you're like in agreement with this person about not knowing all the answers, right? Like that's the resounding sense to me, is everybody just kind of saying, we don't know, right? So why would you speak if you don't know, and you don't think that you have like the truth to tell everybody else, and everybody should believe what I believe? That makes sense.
Yeah, I think also just this is so far from surfing. That's funny. We're talking
no,
about
no. Actually, I think there's some tie-ins.
But
we're gonna loop it back.
The other I think main belief is just in being passive and nonviolence. So, but it's interesting because I've had a completely different intro to Quakerism, where my mom took me to a Quaker church, so I grew up going to it, and I enjoyed it. But it was also like, if I had a soccer game on Sunday morning instead of church, it was like, okay, that's a lot more fun than doing this. So like it was always present in my life, but like as I got older, I think it was just what it was when I was younger, kind of stuck with me. But then so it's interesting when I met Paul, and then like we probably hung out for 2 years, and like he was like mentioned that he was Quaker, and I was like, oh, that's so random because like I grew up going to a Quaker church, and like so it's just another like kind of odd connection.
How does
it's not about surfing?
How does the commitment to pacifism translate into a frothy lineup in Rockaway when there is straight aggression? And Tyler and I talk about this aspect of surfing is like the aggressive, combative, hostile side to the sport. How does that sort of balance out in
people who aren't involved, who don't surf a lot, they're always surprised by that, aren't they? Right? They're like, what? I thought that surfers are all like hippies, smoking weed, happy, like peace signs.
They don't understand like localism and territorialism and
the competitive nature of humanity in general. It's like, well, you think that surfers are exempt from that?
I think it's very different for both of us, whereas like I'm probably way more passive in the water than he is, partly because I'm never as close as good of a surfer as him, but like I guess what I'm trying to get is like, I don't think it necessarily like means like, because I've seen him like he won't react, but I've seen him like he'll be less passive and more aggressive to being at the point and being at the peak and like catching the way.
Passive doesn't mean really you just have to let people walk all over you either. Like you can redirect their energy or use their energy against them. If someone drops in, on you, you're allowed to like redirect their board off the wave,
Yeah, he does that. Yeah, he does that. And then it happened to be like a 17-year-old kid, and his dad was in the water with him and paddled up to Paul later, and it was like right after, and it was like, he's too young to be doing that. Or maybe he was younger than that. Maybe he was like 13 or 14.
He was like 12.